Thank you for inviting me into your home, first of all. And
Welcome.
I would like to start the interview by you introducing yourself. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Ruth Pitt, and I'm a former documentary maker. I used to run documentary departments for the BBC in Granada, and I've made a lot of programmes, run a couple of independent production companies. And over the years, I've become more interested in developing the screen sector, especially outside London. So I now mostly work as a consultant, helping organisations develop film and television operations and helping people find careers in the industry, from all kinds of backgrounds.
That's really amazing work. And I really admire all these things that you do, especially for Bradford, because there's a lot of focus on the creative industry in London. But I feel like now, hopefully, like I am seeing a lot of focus come back into Bradford, people seeing the good side of Bradford.
Yes, there's been a huge change in the last few years, and I think Bradford's now finally starting to benefit from that. So I would say that over the last, in the television industry, probably in the last 5 years, things have really changed. But when Channel 4 decided to move its offices to its national headquarters offices to Leeds a couple of years ago, I was the creative consultant on that the Leeds bid, and it was fantastic when we got that news that Channel 4 were coming to Leeds, because we knew it would mean a lot of investment and then a lot of benefit for the area, and there was an almost immediate benefit in the Leeds area, and now we're starting to see the wider benefit in Bradford and across the Yorkshire region. So it does show that if you make one change, there's a sort of catalyst effect really, and then you can start growing screen sector activity in other places.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen it too, and especially like Channel 4 doing apprenticeships and things like this. But I feel like also Channel 4, when the headquarters opened, I think it was just before the pandemic hit, wasn't it?
Yes, it was,
So,
literally
yeah.
months beforehand, yes.
Yeah, so it's a bit unfortunate in that sense.
Yes, it was, but it also, I suppose, gave everybody a chance to think about how they were going to proceed. And it's surprising how people have managed, isn't it, to keep work going even through lockdown.
Yeah, very surprising. And like Zoom and everything, working at home, all these remote jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first question I wanted to ask you was about Bradford City of Film. When I was in school and even through college really, I didn't even know Bradford was a city of film. It was not mentioned in school and stuff until I got into like filming and all this kind of stuff. When I did some research on Google, I found out that there's a really rich heritage of Bradford, and it is a UNESCO city of film. And I wanted to know what your thoughts are on the title, and seeing Bradford today, is there anything that stands out to you like that is film wise that relates to Bradford City of Film?
Yeah, well, I think, you're right, it has been a UNESCO City of Film since 2009. In fact, it was the world's first UNESCO City of Film, which is a pretty amazing record to have.
Yeah.
There's only one other in the country, which is now in Bristol, and I know that the team at City of Film in Bradford sort of advised the team in Bristol when they were setting up. So there are several things that City of Film can do. They improve people's understanding of film as an art form and make film more accessible to people. And increasingly, hopefully, we'll be building more community screening programmes so that, the aim is to try and show more films in more communities across the Bradford district as time goes by. But they're also very keen on developing independent film making, and so very important to promote that. But also through the Film Office encouraging productions to come to Bradford, and the latter has seen real improvement in recent months, because since things eased up, there's a huge amount of production. So, The Duke, for instance, a big feature film recently starring Helen Mirren and Jim Broadbent. Very familiar scenes that you could see there. The question is, how do we maximise the benefit of those big productions coming in? Because at the moment, there aren't the post-production facilities or the studio facilities, so big international companies can't actually make whole films in Bradford. So over time, the hope is that will develop. But the other thing that City of Film does, which is really important, is build international relationships. There's a partnership with Qingdao in China. There are partnerships in India. So what I'd like to see is a raising of the profile of City of Film in Bradford, so that more people get more benefit from it, because it is a fantastic thing. And as you say, you didn't know when you were at school that it even existed, which is amazing, isn't it? But yet you're not alone. A lot of people would say they didn't know what City of Film was. So it's fantastic to think that with the help of a sort of screen sector strategy for Bradford that we've developed, there'll be more attention paid to City of Film in the future.
Yeah, 100%. And I definitely am not alone in this. I think as well, not knowing it was City of Film. I think there should be more talk about it in schools and stuff as well. Especially like you mentioned, it's the first one in the whole world. It's like it's
Yes.
a bit ridiculous.
Well, yes, and also I think if it was talked about in schools, people would have the idea that a career in film or television or digital production is a possibility for them, because that's one of the biggest challenges that we're sort of looking at, which is how do you make screen sector, i.e. film, TV, games, digital, how do you make screen sector careers attractive to people of school age? And I think quite often, in a way you have to talk to parents before you talk to children, because parents don't understand that this is a really great career, and also a very diverse career, so that you could have, you could be a producer, you could be a writer, but you could also be a technical or craft person, you could be a set builder, you could be a makeup designer, you could be a wardrobe costume designer, you could be an executive producer. It's a vast industry, and people probably are not aware of the range of careers that are available.
No, especially like the demographics of Bradford, South Asian people. It's just, I feel like they just, like you said, they need to be educated, and that there are so many jobs. And something my teacher told me in college was that really opened my eyes about this was when you watch a movie and you see the end credits, each person there has a job, and those credits roll for a long time.
That's very true. Yes, if you thought about what every line of those credits actually involved, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yes. It is amazing. There's hundreds of jobs on each production, and people should be educated on that. And what you mentioned about the big production companies really leads into my next question, which is Bradford seems to be experiencing a pickup of big production companies seeing this place as a filming location. Netflix, BBC, Channel 4, they're all coming here. Peaky Blinders, I think, was filmed here. The Witcher, The Crown was even, they even came here to film. And there's just all of these companies filming here, but they're bringing their staff from the south.
That's right.
So
yes.
That's I think that's an issue.
Yes, it's an issue, and it's something that can't be solved overnight. So, what's happening is that, as I say, there has been a historic lack of facilities in this area. So there's also been a historic lack of skilled talent. Not a lack of talent, but a lack of experience. So, if you look at Bradford as a district, hundreds of students may study media, but how do we keep them from leaving? Because if they want to pursue careers in the screen sector, by and large they'll go to Manchester. They may well find work in Leeds, but they'll go to Manchester or they'll go to London. And so we want to stop that talent drain. It's incredibly important to stop it. And if we do stop it, it then means we're going to be able to build up experienced talent, and then when these incoming productions come, there are more people to work locally on their productions. So it's a kind of catch-22 at the moment, because the experience isn't there quite yet. People bring their own and then take them away, and because they bring their own and take them away, people never get the experience. So it's a
chicken and egg situation.
It's a chicken and egg situation. It really is. But there are interventions that you can use which will change that, and that's what we're kind of starting to do. So training programs, Beyond Brontes, the Screen Yorkshire training program, is a really good example of that. There are lots of opportunities for young people interested in film careers or TV careers or digital careers to get work experience and talk to employers who might be interested in employing them. There are a number of quite big production companies in Leeds now. What there aren't at the moment are commercial production companies based in Bradford. So that's another one of our priorities, really, is to encourage companies to actually invest and set up here, because then they'll be invested in training up people locally, which is really important.
Yeah, well, you bring up some interesting points there, because the way I've been looking at this when I've been filming the series was the people themselves and the talent. But you're mentioning the lack of production companies, the lack of commercial spaces on places that actually need people.
Yeah.
that are in the screen industries in Bradford. There isn't many at all.
No.
So that's why there's no jobs.
That's right, and it comes back to something really fundamental, which is just the structure of the industry. The industry isn't structured in Bradford at the moment, but we're trying to do something about that. And at the behest of Nick Greenan, who's the wonderful cultural partnerships person at Bradford Council, who's done a huge amount to develop a healthy screen sector in Bradford. I, on her behalf, developed a screen sector strategy for Bradford, which is called As Seen on Screen. And in order to do that, we interviewed over 100 people from all backgrounds, from all areas of the industry, lots of people in London, people in senior positions making decisions, but also people who were trying to make a living, students, and people working in the commercial sector and the independent film sector as well. So got a really broad picture, and we concluded from that as much as anything else, what we needed to do was have a 5-year plan that would help us to deliver a more mature production sector by 2025. So this was at 2020 when we first started working on the strategy. So it's now, the strategy is published and available for people to look at, and we are starting to roll it out. And its main planks are to have a more joined up education and kind of learning journey, so that people, like we were just saying, understand the careers that are available, but also they know where to go to get the evidence, the information, and they also can work out what they need to do certain jobs. So that's number one. Number two is to create a screen unit for any content creators who are interested in making content to come and work and share and learn and attend master classes and hear speakers and create their own work together, collaborate, swap their skills, and we've just opened that in March. Really, really exciting at the Impact Hub in Bradford on Peckover Street. And that's a drop-in centre that anybody can walk in and use, and you can. It doesn't cost anything to hire the equipment there. You just have to book it, and hopefully, as more and more people work there, they will get to know one another, and that will help to create a healthy sector. But we also need to do things like make film more available to different communities. So there's a big plan to create more community screenings. And really importantly, this is what would be one of the best reasons why we do it. Well, obviously economic reasons, because we want to create jobs, and also creative industries jobs are clean jobs. But we also want to improve the representation of Bradford, because you don't see it on the screen.
No, we don't.
You don't. So that's really a really important part of what we're doing, because people like you, if you're making films that are being seen more widely, people are seeing the place you live and they're understanding Bradford in a way that people don't understand Bradford. Because I think you'd agree, anybody who knows Bradford well knows what an exciting place it can be.
Yeah, no, people who live in Bradford know, and yeah, so it's just like the community here is really, really tiny, because it's just I interviewed Casey like a few weeks ago, and she just moved into Bradford recently, and she knows everybody like already, and it's like she's only been here for about a year, and I think it just proves how close knit like our community is, from like the creative community is.
Yes, and also how people want to connect with one another as well. I don't get a sense of people being competitive with one another at all. I get a real sense that people want to work together, and if you can develop your creative ideas in collaboration with somebody else, then you've got more brain than one, haven't you, working on the idea. But also, there are several things there. One is the use of screens and screen content as a form of creative expression, and there's also as a way of making a living.
Yeah.
So those two things don't always go together, do they? So sometimes you can be making wonderful films, but nobody gets to see them, and you can't make a living out of it.
Yeah. It just shows like you have to be passionate about it yourself to be able to do things like that.
Yes.
That also goes into my next question, where you're talking about like how important it is for us guys people to work together and not be competitive. One of the things when I spoke to the other interviews about university versus not going to university, a big advantage for university is networking and getting with the people and seeing like-minded individuals. I think the unit would be like a great place to do things like that. I think that's a very
Yes.
good place for someone like me who's not going to university, would meet other people that are interested in filmmaking.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got some skills that other people want, and other people have got some skills that you want. So if you can literally have a skills exchange, so you can shoot something for somebody, but maybe they can help you make an application for funding. So there are ways to share skills. So we've got a fantastic administrator and a program lead there now, and they're there to help people navigate their way through this. So I do think it's a brilliant resource, actually. But just it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about universities and colleges, because there are some great courses for students in Bradford, whether at Bradford College, Shipley College, the University of Bradford, obviously. And it's really interesting that there's this huge talent shortage in the industry, hundreds of students who are doing media-related degrees, and yet those students don't seem to be getting jobs in large numbers in the industry. So one of the things I'm really interested in working on and helping to improve is that relationship between the industry and the higher education, further education sector, because it's such a waste of resource not to make the best use, really.
It really is.
Yeah, so I think one of the things we're trying to do is talk more with production companies and the universities, find a way that we can hook people up and get people making plans together more, because everybody's keen to do it. It's finding the mechanism to do it. And I think the industry, among many things, I run a conference called the Creative Cities Convention, and it's a conference, it's in its 5th year now, and it's a conference that is designed for anybody making content, screen content outside London. And what I've seen over the 5 years of doing that is that the growth of production outside London has been huge, multi-million pound change. And it's absolutely the case that there is not enough talent to go round to manage all that production. So we've got to find ways to maximise the talent that's coming out of the colleges and universities and find opportunities for it within the industry. And the industry wants to do that too. So it's a sort of virtuous circle, but we've got to find out why it is that the skills that people are learning in the education sector are not making their way more seamlessly into the industry.
From education to the professional level.
Yeah,
and one of the hurdles I faced was the pessimistic view of Bradford. Like when I was studying and when I was saying people I want to work in film and stuff, they were like, well, you're gonna have to move to America, you're gonna have to move to London if you want to professionally work in film. It's just the thought that people have, and I think that's related to the fact that there's not enough production companies and things like that here. But like I said, we're building towards that.
Yes, I mean, why do you think people do have a bad view of Bradford?
Maybe it's the media. The media has like newspapers, and whenever this stuff come out for Bradford in like BBC News and stuff, it's never in a positive light. Maybe it's I'm not sure. Maybe it's just the fact that it's a lot more prominent and advertised in Manchester and Leeds. Maybe that could be it.
And again, it's probably a catch-22 sort of chicken and egg thing, isn't it? If people don't know the real Bradford, then they'll make assumptions
100%.
about the real Bradford. Yes.
That's what it is. Yeah. Finally, I want to talk about 2 days. Was it last night? The night before it was announced that Bradford was on the shortlist for the Bradford 2025 City of Culture. How will that affect the arts and screen industries in Bradford?
Okay, well, the answer to that question is hugely. It was so exciting. Just literally, was it March the 18th, late, they announced. So exciting to hear that Bradford's down to the last 4. And that really means that already, even just getting to the last 4 is going to have a transformational effect on Bradford, because it's we were just talking about how Bradford, it doesn't have a spotlight on it, and this is putting a spotlight on Bradford, and it's putting a spotlight on Bradford's communities, but also Bradford's creative industries. And there's a fantastic range of screen content creators in Bradford who are you know, yeah, they might not be, you know, getting big commissions for the BBC or Netflix, but they are making amazing things, and they, like you, they've got their own YouTube channels, they are live streaming, they are making digital content, they're finding ways to get their content out on Instagram, on TikTok, they're using other means of communication. And I think one of the brilliant things about the City of Culture is that all those creative skills that people have got in Bradford are going to find more of a home now. And when we devised the As Seen on Screen strategy to develop the screen sector, it was very much because it was going to be part of the plan for City of Culture. Because the great secret weapon of the screen industry is that it's not just a creative industry in itself, but it can capture everything else. So it has this added value, you know. So as part of the screen strategy, we set up Filmmakers 25, which is a mentor network that you're very aware of and you've benefited from, matching content creators with industry experts. And some of the industry experts have been absolutely fantastic and done a great job with some of the people they've worked with. But we called it Filmmakers 25 because the aim was to identify and nurture a group of filmmakers and content creators so that we had a mature sector ready for 2025 so they could capture all the things that are going on, whether it's that fantastic visual display that was recently shown on Lister's Mill, which I don't know if you saw it, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful and really inspiring. And I went to see it on a freezing cold Saturday evening, and it was still full. There were loads of people. So capturing those kind of things on film and encouraging people to enjoy screen content, you know, not just the huge multi-million-pound fabulous films, which we're so lucky to have coming to the National Science and Media Museum, for instance, and the IMAX and things, but little village hall screenings across the district. So Filmmakers 25, I hope, there are now 50 people in that group, and I hope they will be a mature sector. We're also encouraging commercial production companies to come to Bradford and actually set up with a view again to building the sector by 2025. And there are lots of ways in which everything we're doing is focused on maturing the sector by 2025. So I think, yes, it'll play a really big part in the future of Bradford one way or another.
Awesome. Well, it was great chatting to you today.
You too.
Thanks again for inviting me to your home, and thanks for letting me interview you.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed it.